Good morning, guys. Beautiful day out today. Got a little rain today, which is perfect for a little wet ball drills and just get ready for a little bit of wet games. You never know when you're going to have to go through that adversity. And today's a perfect day. No lightning either, so that's a good thing. Sometimes there's no way you want to go out if there's any lightning or whatever. We know we don't want our kids to get struck, but just to have to move it in, get the cameras in, it's chaos. So it's nice to have a nice day like today.
Do they wear different shoes on a day like today?
I got some gray shoes on today. Glad you checked out the style. I didn't want to get my white ones too muddy, but we'll do most of our work on the field turf out there, which is one of the reasons we have that. Okay. Just so we don't tear up that field too bad. But no, our cleats are no different. You're only allowed to have such long cleats. I don't know what it is, but there's some extra long ones that you can't wear.
How do you feel like you guys handled first day in pads, and then you have kind of handled things since?
You know what? First of all, tempo-wise, I was excited with it. I think you guys saw the first 6 plays of team, but I was excited just how the way they handled themselves. I think this team is a little bit more mature than others. They practiced with the right tempos. The day before they were worse. We put the pads on, they got better. So I don't, we coached the heck out of it, I guess, just trying to keep each other safe and making sure we're smart. But they did a nice job in pads. We didn't do a ton of live, maybe three team periods of live, but we got, probably 25 plays, and I thought it was good. We saw some good things on both sides of the ball.
What about the lines in particular? What stood out to you, O-line, D-line?
The usual. I can't tell you there was anything that stood out about what they did. I think our penalties are down. I knock on wood. As soon as I say that, we'll have 100 of them today. But our penalties were down. And again, I think last spring we had a lot of false starts on the offensive line. So that's one thing that stands out to me right now is we've been a lot more disciplined with a lot more different cadences than normal people have. So I think that's been a positive. There's been more focus there.
Where does Solomon Shields fit into that competition at linebacker?
He's right there at the top. I mean, he's a guy competing. He can play both to the field and to the boundary, and he's been running with the ones, and people are trying to unseat him there.
I'm sure you stick your head into the offensive huddle from time to time, but how do you get a sense of how the quarterback is commanding the huddle, getting guys lined up? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm in the huddle a lot, Chris. Right. I'm in the huddle a lot. There's some long, whether they're reading it from the wrist or they got to get it from the sideline, it's a real call. But I'm glad I'm not a quarterback. I can tell you that. I'm not good at memorizing lines. I'd be a bad guy in the movies, like, hey, you didn't get your lines. No, I'm not memorizing those lines. Those quarterbacks do a heck of a job in the huddle. But there's always some hiccups in the huddle. I almost wish we had a mic in that huddle so everybody could hear. On the offense, at least the defense would love to hear, but they're not allowed. But just to hear how that that huddle's commanded. But they all 3 of the guys that are getting the majority of the reps are do a nice job in there. But again, it's always a issue of getting out of the huddle and delay games and all those. So it's something we talk a lot about, Chris.
Speaking about communicating on the defensive side of the ball, last year that was a lot of Chavassier, a lot of your safeties. Now that you got to find new guys in those roles, who stepped up in that role? You think the best?
Yeah, Jeff, I saw you being a little late here. Get your butt here on time, but we'll be all right with you. It's a good thing I love you, yeah, start your laps. It's that peripheral visions for a linebacker. Going back to your question was communication. I mean, I'll start with Javon McIntyre. He's been the guy. I told you back, I think maybe 5 days ago, about how he's done a good job communicating, and people talked about him being the guy right now. He does the best job. Corners feel comfortable with him because he's giving them the call fast. He knows exactly what he's doing. He's studying it. The other guys are a work in progress, but I think they've all gotten way better than they were in the spring. And then, Shane Simon's the guy, Brandon George, we got a lot of guys that can call it.
In the spring, you and Randy both talked. Whenever we would ask you about Javon, we would both say, yeah, he made those picks late, but boy, there were a lot of mistakes in his last few games, some bowl, this and that. Yeah. Is he improving that side of the details?
No question about it, or he wouldn't be a starter. There's no question about it. I mean, that was first game jitters, and he left, Eric Hallett, in the bowl game hanging out in the middle of the field, and Alex sitting on his butt going like, where's my middle of the field player? Everybody thinks Eric got beat. Everybody's probably on Twitter and social media saying, what is he doing? And, ironically, he's doing a heck of a job down in Jacksonville as well, from what I hear. But he's gotten much better that way. I mean, the MAs are down or non-existent right now. But we got more install to do, and that's what we try to press them. Today we'll have a 2-minute at the end of the game, but when things are rolling, we had some missed assignments in the UCLA game that we got to make sure we clean up. We were awful in the 2-minute situation against UCLA, so stuff that we'll clean up again today. And again, there was a lot of young guys on that defense that day, so he was just new, kind of, playing the star position in Delta, and I mean, he had a lot of stuff on his plate that day.
Is he still doing both? Is he running both?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Field boundaries, the nickel backs. Yeah, he's doing it all.
What about PJ as far as the mental side goes?
PJ again has gotten a lot better back there. Again, he wasn't where we needed to be in the spring. Sometimes he likes his calls. It's like, you can't just like your calls. You got to do the ones that everybody likes that help us in the. So he's learning. But he's funny. I mean, he's like, I don't want to get beat deep. I was like, wait, hold on a second now. You got to do what we need him to do. So he's come a long way.
What about Donovan? Because he's new to the system.
Yeah, he's new to the system. And again, he's much. All those safeties are much better. I mean, Javon was here as far as play calling. The rest of them were down here, and they are all doing it. Without beating a dead horse here, they're all a lot better. I mean, Donovan's picking it up. I mean, he's he looks more comfortable. He appears more comfortable out there. And again, I think it'll just get better every day.
Anything else before walkthrough?
Coach, wet ball drill.
Were you late?
No, he was here early.
Just checking. So you can ask quick.
I was just curious with wet ball drill. Just talk about the punter competition. And how does a day like today function into that competition?
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing. I mean, can you catch the ball in the wet? And again, we've already worked wet ball drills, before this day. So we did them the other day in the indoor. Matter of fact, you guys were there early. Just putting in it. So we didn't know we were going to get a day, today in the rain. But we work that every week. But it's nice to have natural ones, where you don't have to, get a bucket of water to produce that.